Ground Zero Salem yet again. As always, I'm your host, Pat. We are listening to a little band called Battle Hag on Transylvanian Tapes. If any of you guys are subscribed to or follow Schnell, Adam Schnellenbach, you will know that he loved this. I love it too. It's my first real spin through with the whole thing. I listened to some tracks on their on the Transylvanian Tapes Bandcamp and immediately pulled the trigger. Really great sprawling doom, not quite stoner, not quite epic, not quite death doom, very much its own thing. Awesome melodies, glacial rhythms, crushing, mournful vibes. I feel like this art was, which is awesome, I feel like this was one of the wizards in the Dragon Warrior game, but I might just be hallucinating that. So, what I thought I'd talk about is sounds that you appreciate as a music listener. You know, we're all nerds. If you're watching somebody babble into his phone about the records he collects, you're probably a nerd. For music, and that's not meant to be a pejorative thing, a negative thing. It means you're really into a certain type of art. What I'm getting at is, I feel like we all have our tastes, you know. Some of us like more different sounds more than others. I'm speaking about certain subgenres we're attracted to, genres of music we're attracted to, and certain ones we can't stand. And I thought I would start this new little series, now that the What's in the Box thing is wrapped up, called Subgenre Wars, where I'll pull out 5 releases from a specific, very specific type of sound that I can't get enough of, that I snap up everything that falls under that umbrella, whether it's good or bad, and one that I kind of have slandered or feel like it's not for me. You know, I've been quoted as saying, oh, I hate that blah 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 shit, and pick out, if I can find, 5 releases and why they're the exceptions to the rule for me. So for today's little segment, I picked for the stuff I'm nutso over, Motorhead Worship, Motorhead Venom Worship specifically, and Stoner Doom. I think it was an earlier video, many videos back, where I was just like, I fucking hate that stoner shit, blah 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 blah. And you know, you think about when you say stuff like that. I actually had the conversation with John, who was my guest in the car the other day. We were driving somewhere, and I was like, man, I don't know. You know, I don't really hate anything. At a certain point, I think, me being the contrarian that I am, I decided that a lot of that stuff is so trendy, and I feel like the bigger labels have been kind of shoving it down my throat for so long that I'm just kind of tired of it. And I've also honestly given Windhand a shot, don't like them. Pallbearer a shot, don't like them. And I don't even know if they're really considered straight up stoner doom. I've given Chemist a shot, very briefly, didn't like it. Stuff like Bongzilla and all that, it's just not for me. All the fucking pot references, you know. Then again, I mean, I can't get into smoking weed. It just makes me paranoid. Maybe that's why. Maybe I'm jealous. I feel like there's cameras behind my eyes when I smoke pot, so I haven't in years. Anyway, I digress. So, yeah, I'm not into the big riff-heavy Sun amp. I certainly can't get into the drone stuff, like Sun and Ohm and Earth and all that kind of shit. It's just don't have the attention span, frankly. That's mainly it. There's nothing wrong with the music or anybody who listens to it. It's, you know, some people like peanut butter, some people like chocolate, some people like celery, some people like fucking ants on a log, like both, you know, what are you gonna do? But, anyway, I thought I'd get into the Motorhead Worship stuff that sounds like Motorhead, stuff that sounds like Venom, that, you know, maybe late 70s, like 79 to 83 window, the rumbling 3-chord, galloping, you know, loud Rickenbacker bass. I mean, you know what Motorhead and Venom sound like, you know. Bands that are of that ilk that I love. First up is Inepsy. I've shown some of their stuff before. I think it was a Flexi. These are punk rock dudes from Montreal, playing, their early stuff was a little bit more D-beat. I believe it's the See You in Hell 7-inch was a little bit more of a Discharge kind of vibe. This is almost like complete straight up Motorhead worship. And I've met like punk kids that are like, oh, I don't really like Motorhead, but I like Inepsy. I'm like, yeah, okay. That makes sense. But yeah, this came out on Feral Ward, the guy from Tragedy's label there, and it is just awesome. just incredibly well written. The hooks are there for the songwriting. The gruff vocals are very, very close to Lemmy's. Just excellent stuff. Inferno Machine's a great one. Break the Chains, it's more of an anthem. Great stuff. Another one is, this is more old school, 80s. Got Fingernails. This is a dual, 2 albums on 1 CD deal with the self-titled and Hell and Back. And this is great stuff too. A little bit faster than the typical kind of Motorhead stuff, I think, by maybe a touch. It's mostly faster material stuff, a couple of slower jams from what I remember. This is fucking great. I mean, you can't go wrong with a song called Crazy for Blowjobs. Awesome band. Bulldozer was kind of along the same lines, although these guys were more on the Motorhead side of things. Bulldozer was more on the Venom side of things. Bulldozer got progressively weirder. I'm not sure how Fingernails progressed after this. This came out on Old Metal Records of Arlington, Virginia. But yeah, very cool artwork there. Got a rat on there. I think Villains did a split with Fingernails that was also really cool. Split 7-inch. Villains from New York, great. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm gonna bring up Midnight. You know, I do like their pre-full-length material better. That's why I grabbed this complete and total fucking Midnight double LP that compiled all their early singles and EPs and whatever else. But fucking awesome band if you don't know. They wear executioner hoods. They sound like Venom but tighter. Not every song sounds like Venom. That's the thing, is they get kind of branded with being clones or a pure worship group, and they definitely take probably more inspiration from Venom than anybody else. But there's also songs like Berlin is Burning, which is like a more mid-tempo Motorhead song. My favorite song by them probably is Unholy and Rotten, which could be, I don't know, just like G.G. Allen punk mixed with Venom, mixed with Celtic Frost or something like that. Great band. All Hail Hell. Just I Am Violator, Hot Grades. I mean, they still are on fire. They're a great band. But this is my favorite material by them. Not slighting anything they did after that, believe me. I like everything they've done so far. And if you guys get a chance, cruise on over to Heavy Metal Relics and see the stuff that Athenart guested on. He's got an amazing collection and a very nice dry wit. He's a funny guy. The tour of his house and where he shows off his record collection is pretty cool. Next, we're going to go with Tank. Filth Hounds of Hades. I mean, these guys existed at the same time as Motorhead. They toured with them. This was produced by Eddie Clark, so there you go. Featured bassist, I think, L.G. Ward, who was in The Damned previous to that, so he's got that punk pedigree. Great songs, Blood, Guts, and Beers, like almost kind of like a boogie kind of deal. Not quite, but it's got that sort of stompy sort of thing. Shell Shock's great, fast. Turn Your Head Around will turn your head around. It's a great ripper of a fucking song. These guys were a little bit more, I mean, they had the Motorhead tempo, but they had more of a new wave of British heavy metal kind of vocal style. The vocals weren't nearly as gruff. A little bit more melody. But great fast charging stuff. I feel like I saw somebody show this recently. I think it was Bip Bop Boom. Who I think this is one of his favorite bands. I can't remember what he said. I think he said that this was a Canadian pressing. There's a couple different pressings. This is kind of an uglier cover than... There's a black cover that has the wolves are like all shaded in and stuff. But happy to own this. Sounds great. And rounding out the Motorhead sounding stuff is Vulcain, French band. Rock and Roll Secours. This is fucking awesome. If you can imagine the same charging style as Motorhead. Not so much really Venom, but more like Motorhead. All in French. I find myself singing along to words I don't even know the meaning of. Especially the opening track, Ebony. Ebony. Awesome. Awesome stuff. don't know much about what these guys did after this. I think they did one album, at least. But beyond that, I got nothing for you. This is on Devil's Records. No insert in this copy. It's kind of a beat-up copy. I managed to get it relatively cheap on Discogs, but you got this awesome fucking artwork. The sun, I think? Or is that the moon? I don't even know. It's on fire and there's chains coming out of it. That's all you need to know. Not a power trio like a lot of these bands. 4-piece. And just for sake of mentioning it, this came out on Attic Records, this Tank. But Tank was a 3-piece. Midnight's a 3-piece. Motorhead were a 3-piece. Inepsy or 4-piece. But yeah, it's a common thing to have the power trio thing with that style of metal. So, let's get into the stoner metal, the stoner doom. And because that genre is not my thing, not disparaging anybody who's super into it, of course, it's hard for me to even pick records that fall in this sort of range, because it's a very specific sound, even though it's pretty popular now. A lot of them were older records, you know, that where I feel like the genre maybe hadn't gotten so overrun. One of my favorite records, I kind of started rediscovering doom metal when I moved back to Boston over 10 years ago. I was tracking around a lot of stuff. I went on some message board and said, what's the closest thing to Forest of Equilibrium? One of my favorite doom metal records of all time. I mean, it could be argued that it has sort of a Sabbathy stoner thing, but it's got almost a certain kind of Swans heaviness to it, just in the pure dirginess. It's one of my favorite records of all time. I've mentioned that before. And somebody said, well, Warhorse is about as close as you're going to get. And this is a repress of Warhorse as poor Evan turning to ash as heaven turns to ash. This has got to be on Southern Lord, judging by the cheap sleeve. Not the sleeve, they always come with these bags where the top rips off, and they seem to always fall apart. Whatever. Yeah. Southern Lord Records. Beautiful 2LP gatefold. I believe it's on clear. Let's find out. I am totally wrong. This is on black. This compiles as Heaven Turns to Ash and a 7-inch that they did. I am unaware of whether it was pre or post the album. I am dying. But this has that stoner metal thing that normally turns me off. The like very bassy, very 70s groove laden, played through a very expensive Sun amp, wall of sound thing that for whatever reason doesn't click with me a lot of the time. It has that, but for some reason in this it's just so crushing, so heavy. Doesn't sound like Force of Equilibrium, but I can see where that person was coming from. It definitely has that super ominous, just like devastating, city-state leveling, slow, heavy with a groove, but there's a lot more of almost like a funeral-like quality to it. I love this record. This band was from Worcester. They're local folks. They have a new band. A couple of the members, I believe, at least one of the members, are in a band called Benthic Realm that are kind of less dirgy than this. They're a little bit more along the lines of like maybe the sort of like obsessed 80s Pentagram, maybe. Female vocalist, very, very good. I have their 3-song CD in my car, and it's been living in the stereo for a while. So yeah, I feel like this kind of breaches what might be considered stoner doom along the lines of, you know, Electric Wizard and stuff like that. And it's great. So, yep, Southern Lord dual LP. I got this for pretty cheap for a Southern Lord LP. It was $22. That's not bad at all. And again, I'm kind of reaching with this because it doesn't really fit into the stuff that I was just describing, but I needed a 5th one. So I just picked out Pentagram, the First Days Here Vintage Collection. I mean, well, other than Black Sabbath, I feel like these kinds of these riffs are probably plagiarized not just as much, but second to Black Sabbath and a lot of stoner doom stuff. And it's great. I mean, Bobby Liebling has really screwed up a lot with a lot of stuff, but you can't dispute his abilities as a songwriter and a riff writer. Just great stuff. I mean, you can't fuck with When the Screams Come. I think the first song I ever heard was Lazy Lady on the old Relapse website in the early 2000s when I still had dial-up when I lived in Maine, and I played that song over and over again because it has a groove, it's got a warmth to it, a little bit of just enough of a sense of dread, of doom. But yeah, extremely trendy band with hipsters. Oh no, the hipsters are invading. Hipsters don't really exist anymore, by the way. The whole Williamsburg thing is over. Just let it go. Anyway. But yeah, trendy band nowadays, very popular. Personally, I actually prefer the 80s material that's a little bit more leaning towards what people call traditional doom, I guess, but sits more comfortably alongside a St. Vitus and Candlemass and stuff like that. I have trouble throwing any kind of wino project in with any of this stuff, just because the Obsessed, St. Vitus, and a couple of his solo records and a few other things he's done hold a really special place in my heart. And maybe that's why I'm such a St. Vitus freak, and maybe that completely fills my need for Sabbath worship and dirginess and that kind of thing. I absolutely love and worship everything St. Vitus has done. I even like COD. It's one of my favorite records by St. Vitus. I don't know, it just does it for me. Tangent aside, we got Sleep here. I mean, you can't fuck with this, man. Sleep's Holy Mountain, on cassette, on earache. Fucking great. I don't know, man. Just, I hate risking sounding like a moron, but I just want to say, like, bro, the riffs, bro. Because that's, what else can you really say? I mean, they stick in your head for days. Perfectly heavy. Dragonaut, Holy Mountain. It just, great stuff. Saw them at MDF 2013. They were pretty good. They went on for a really long time, and Venom's set got cut short, which was kind of brings up an interesting thing of these two genres clashing. I never even really thought about that. So, yeah, people seemed like they were ready to riot or something because they cut them off during Warhead, but people left peacefully. Anyway, Sleep is awesome. This record's awesome. Never really cared much for Dope Smoker. Too long. Don't have the attention span. Yeah, we'll go with, since I've already showed the full length, we'll go with Cathedral. Again, you know, can you call it Stoner Doom? Well, I'm kind of reaching on a few of these, so what are you going to do? I love that Alchemical Dragon thing. I actually have that on a patch of that on the back of my denim jacket. But yeah, this was around that era when Columbia snatched up a bunch of the earache bands, Carcass, Napalm Death, I believe, Entombed did Wolverine Blues, but, you know, this kicks up the pace a little bit from Forest. There's, like, Golden Blood Flooding is just, like, a nice, like, mid-tempo march kind of just smoking riff on that. Soul Sacrifice, also on Force of Equilibrium, but this is a more fleshed out, longer version. I love it. Autumn Twilight's like the kind of showing where they're gonna go with their more psychedelic, like, ooh, I'm gonna freak out, yow, horse shit that they did after this. Don't like Cathedral after this much at all, unfortunately. Need to revisit a lot of their stuff. I know they have a bazillion albums, and they kind of went back to being sort of doomy at certain times, but the record after this was a huge disappointment for me. The Ethereal Mirror, didn't like it at all. But yeah, another one of my favorites. Came out on earache only. There's no insert or anything, and it's just black vinyl, so that's that. And to round this out, one of my favorite records, period, that I listened to into the ground. I haven't spun it in a few years now. Beautiful record. I don't even know what this is on. I hate records. Jex Thoth. Fucking great. I mean, this is years before the occult metal thing was hot, with Blood Ceremony and all that stuff. This is years before the stoner stuff was hot and big. been popular. I think this came out in the early 2000s at some point. Oh no, Core came out a little later than I thought. 2007. It's like when it was recorded anyway. But yeah, just beautiful female-fronted, stonery doom metal stuff, and I love this woman's voice. Truly enchanting. Awesome riffs. I heard some of their other records. None of them really held up to this one for me. They're good, but this just really warrior woman, separated at birth. Separated at birth. So awesome. I know you love my golden pipes there. But yeah, this is fantastic. I would recommend this if you happen to be a fan of that kind of, you know, stonery, Sabbathy, 70s-ish kind of stuff. Definitely scope out Jex Thoth. And hell, I'd say that Battle Hag had some pretty stonery elements on it too, and I fucking love that tape. I just decided, seeing as how I finally spun through it the first time, but I know already it's gonna be live in my car stereo for a while. Yeah, I have a tape deck in my car. I'm just that fucking cool to own a 2002 Subaru. Yeah, and isn't it, one last thought, I actually really like a lot of proto-metal and hard rock and Sabbathy also ran kind of bands from the 70s too, so I don't know why a lot of the modern stoner kind of stuff doesn't appeal to me. I love Sir Lord Baltimore. They're great. Flower Traveling Band from Japan. Iron Claw, Wicked Lady, Necromandus, Black Widow. All those bands are awesome. I just think there's something for me where I just... the whole, you know, depressed flower child with a sun amp thing just doesn't really do it for me in a modern context. I don't know. And who knows? Like, once I get over my bullshit, I'll probably come back around to some of it and, you know, change my mind. I think a Uncle Acid and the Deadbeat song came up on Spotify radio for something I was listening to at work, and I was like, it's a pretty good riff. So, you know, we all got our own shit, but you know, having taste means you like more stuff than something else, you know. Well, that's enough musings for now. I am gonna go upstairs, hang out with my lady, watch some TV, and you guys have a good work week. See you when I see you.